The 1960s was a true turn for the start of the kaiju boom, with movies like that top banana, known as King Kong vs. Godzilla, which ultimately paved away a grand lineage of Toho-produced tokusatsu films, as well as countless imitators capitalizing on the popularity of Godzilla, as well as the advent of television, with Ultra Q and the original Ultraman, both from Eiji Tsuburaya, and his legacy company, of course. Regardless of the varying quality of these films, they have their place as the films we love dearly. Assuming if you know a guy or gal who finds Gappa the Triphibian monster appealing. I mean...
You know, I've decided to quit my job. I should stay home. Marry an office worker and wash diapers.
Wow!
In what is considered to be inspired by King Kong, Toho's brilliant minds would come together for a special Kaiju Eiga monster movie that has a more gentle feminine approach with its star kaiju in contrast with the burly, aggressive manliness of the previous kaiju, and she would go on to join the eternal ranks of this monster squad.
Who are you people?
This is Hinchusatsu, and I'm ready to talk about the movie that marks the first ever debut of the one and only majestic punching bag-esque kaiju star, the Queen of the Monsters, Mothra. In part of her 65th anniversary, I'll review her debut film, a time when the nation of Japan was slowly but surely recovered in a new time when their cinema flourished. Brought to us by director Ishiro Honda and screenwriter Shinichi Sekizawa, it originally began as a serialized novel, now heavily adapted to become a vibrant, lavish, and humanly peaceful family feature that engraved Mothra into our pop culture of Japan's famous mainstay of Daikaiju Eiga. After the rescue of shipwrecked survivors from the mysterious remote Infant Island, as well as skepticisms of the surviving crew not being poisoned, as the men claimed that the island's natives nursed them to health, a team of investigators, including the linguistic Professor Chujo, a goofball photographer named Zenichiro, nicknamed Snapping Turtle, led by one named Clark Nelson, are sent to the island to investigate. Upon entering the island, Chujo gets ensnared by vampire plants before being rescued by twin fairies called the Shobijin, which draws the attention of Nelson, who would eventually sinks far in obtaining the fairies in an attempt to boost profits for his fame, resulting in killing the defensive natives on the island later. At first it's working well for him, as the Shobijin sings their hearts in a song that I think needs no introduction. Well, what the hell. Realizing their song is actually a call for help to Mothra, and learning that Nelson's desire for money will result in millions of lives being killed by Mothra's fury to rescue the Shobijin, Chujo, Zenichiro, and Michiko choose to thwart Nelson's plans of gaining fame, as Mothra already hatches from her egg and travels everywhere from Japan to ultimately the fictional country of Rolisica, with our heroes desperately finding greater means to ensure peace. If Honda and Shigeru Kayama's Gojira reflects on the dangers and misuse of nuclear weapons, and is a somber and tragic look of humanity's future of bringing monsters into the world without learning their ways, then Honda and Shinichi Sekizawa's Mothra reflects on the story of fate, political capitalism, and whimsical wonder. The movie's concept that features Infant Island and its native inhabitants hiding within caverns away from radiation contamination from the surface caused by Rolesica's testing is treated with an aura of vague mystery. The original story, penned by Shinichiro Nakamura, Takahiko Fukunaga, and Zine Hotawa, is given a more heavier lean towards fantasy, albeit a Christian-like legend, explaining about how Infant Island and Mothra came to be, which is by all means fascinating, but in my opinion, the movie works organically when it's left to interpretation. Same can be said for all the other heated political tensions between Japan and Roliska, which mirrors the Japan and USA conflicts. But Shinichi Sekizawa decides to choose which aspects in the story he finds appealing, while leaving the rest out of the overall script, in hopes to give the movie a fast pace and less expository fluidity in storytelling, while giving family audiences a picture to enjoy. The concept of Roliska being a fictional country, and Newkirk City as the fictional capital is a remarkable direction. It's a complex stand-in to the United States and Russia, with emphasis on nuclear paranoia and supreme capitalism with abject exploitation in other countries to demonstrate their global superiority. In the movie, Roliska rolls out their military forces to Japanese soil with high-tech atomic ray guns to incinerate Mothra's cocoon, which criminally goes against the Japanese's important 3 non-nuclear principles on their soil. But the way the film utilizes these weapons still brings an emblematic view in Honda's movies. Mothra in Infant Island can be seen as a stand-in for the citizen sensibilities in Japan. Her core conception is the spirituality of Nagomi in Japanese culture, as she seeks peace, harmony, and balance in nature, and unity of the good side of humanity. When she first hatches as a small and seemingly feeble larva, it probably reflects on the slow progression of Japan's economic regrowth after the occupation ended, with Mothra metamorphizing into her prime imago form, is that of the slow growth resulting in the nation becoming strong again. A far cry to common American sensibilities of insects and other bugs mutating from radioactive fallout becoming monstrous killers in 50s movies. Mothra is virtually a Japanese monster with cultural intimation that sadly wouldn't resonate with people outside of Japan. With Sekizawa's style in play, fittingly, the human characters, mainly the main heroes, provide us with the likability in being moved by the Shobijin and Mothra's selflessness in maintaining peace and order for the world. Comedian Frankie Sakai makes for a real tenacious, bumbling goofball journalist as Zunichiro Fukuda, who helps maintain the comedic momentum, counterbalancing the film's intensity. Hiroshi Koizumi makes his second appearance in Toho's tokusatsu-driven films after 1955's Godzilla Raids Again as Professor Chujo. He has some levity, but not on par with Zunichiro, and he mostly plays his role straight and level-headed. Other than that, his ongoing star power with the latter sci-fi fantasy films onward is noteworthy, which probably contributes to Mothra's box office success. With Michi, there isn't really a whole lot going on with her, other than being a close companion to Zunichiro and even sharing his same tenacity. Played famously by Japan's pop star sensation, twin sisters, Emi and Yumi Ito of the Peanuts, the Shobijin leaves a magnetic impression into audiences as part of Japanese pop culture associated with Mothra as her priestesses. The alluring songs they perform conveys beauty, wonder, and genuine enchant with their harmonic notes that captivates in the film's dreamlike atmosphere. The Shobijin would reappear in later entries of the Showa series, the sisters reprisal in Mothra vs. Godzilla and Ghidorah, both in 1964, and played by a different pop duo called Pair Bambi from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, which I clumsily forgot to address in my review for the movie. And each time Mothra gets rebooted decades to come, so do the twins, who faithfully live the tender and fantastical gravitas. Clark Nelson, played by Jerry Ito, is just a marvelous gem as the film's antagonist, while the villain of the picture with a tendency for greed, kidnapping, exploitation, and definitely murder, you'd be ashamed for liking him because he's played with charismatic sleaziness, based on his smug and scene-chewing charm. Jerry Ito, in the Japanese version, sounds a bit rusty when he has to be tasked to learn to speak in his co-star's language. He sounds priceless in the English dub from Titan Production, however, giving him a Bela Lugosi-like cadence, working effectively with his animated, mustache-twirling face. Like with Mothra in the Shobijin, his appearance would influence important human archetypes in Kaiju Eiga. The arrogant, greedy, money-grabbing bad guy. That one. Or even him. Mothra is a magnificent addition to all things kaiju. Besides the thematic undertones that she stands for, she is more defined by her more sympathetic portrayal, which sets her apart from the standard menacing kaiju, given the gentle and whimsical direction that the company wanted with Mothra prevailing at the end, without ending in tragedy. Her larva form is really well executed, and is totally imposing, as adorable looking as it is. And her imago form is just wonderfully vibrant and lovely. When she's flying around in action, she's just a great force in the sky on par with Rodan. and her attack on Rolisica's capital of Newkirk City just emphasizes the magnitude of her reputation as the wrath of nature. And she brings in the femininity that makes her so enduring for a female demographic, which seems to add to the film's success as well. Now, the effects. They are the real treat for, oh, what, there's another monster too? But there's just Mothra and metaphorically this guy. Really? These vines attacking Chujo? I guess I can for the hell of it, because of the sake of combining some large or small aspects concerning the movie. The vampire plants are only a very minor obstacle. Granted, they prove how dangerous they are when they are about to drain Chujo of his blood before the Shobijin appear to save him, but never do they hold any purpose in the movie. Yep, the Twerpy Faroe Island lizard, the Twerpy Mondo Island sea snake, and the Twerpy giant octopus. Well, let me tell you, they ain't stack up than the one true hero engraved into our minds in the history of Kaiju Eiga. I'm talking about the badassery of Titanus Doug. And Skeleturtle. We can't forget about him. The effects are the true show stealers. Filmed roughly in a 200 million yen, approximately $560,000, they went all out with the scaling on the miniature landscape, and even the larva Mothra suit. Tsuburaya and his team went overwhelmingly all out in terms of the giant scale of the Roliscan city, and the 40-foot long length of the larva suit, portrayed by Haruo Nakajima, of all people. And the destruction at the Shibuya ward and the train station prior to the climactic attack in Rolisica is a remarkable achievement with its miniature photography. The roof tiles blown off a la Rodan in 1956, after Mothra emerges from her cocoon, and before as her larva spins a web. Preparing her cocoon is achieved by probably my favorite aspect in terms of the movie's technicals, and it's melted styrofoam projected from an air-powered tube in the puppet to make this effect. The matte painting scenery in the massive jungle on Infant Island is breathtaking, as long as you appreciate the beauty of the craft. No one likes an naysayer, damn it. I watched this many times with the effects of the marionette Mothra in action, and I can barely see the piano wire used to manipulate her body and wings, and had such fun with not just the pyrotechnicians, but the fan blowing everywhere, so much so you believe this butterfly will come over to fuck you up. Every scene with these spectacles is packed with momentum carried over to the other, and they don't disappoint. Yeah, I don't care if the blue sky looks crinkled, it's just... oh, the composites look... Mothra vs. Godzilla is 3 years away. Tsuburaya acquired an Oxbury optical illusions printer, and they look much better. And why are the antennas erected on the prop?
Hey, Needles!
And why does the military keep firing around the intended target? That bird screwed me over with a bank reward scam! This one bailed her drunk gambling ex-boyfriend out of my massive lottery winnings just as I got an eviction notice during my birthday! With the music, Yuji Koseki delivers a score that invokes a feeling of a dreamlike enchantment and majesty to emphasize Mothra's power, the danger, and the sympathy. Often it feels like a lullaby when the Shobijin are on screen performing. Akira Fukube was even considered to compose, but turned it down, believing his more bombastic militaristic style unattainable for a while. And of course, I can't stop there without addressing the true gem of what Mothra is known for when you think of her. And that's her theme song. The lyrics, which are a hummable and real banger, were created by combining both Japanese and the Indonesian language Bahasa. With that, it encapsulates the essence of the character. And like with Big G's theme, Mothra gets recomposed each time she reappears, even rebooted. Except for Sea Monster, Destroy All Monsters, GMK, and Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Mothra became a major success at the box office, in both its native Japan and even in the US, after Columbia Pictures acquired the rights to release the movie. It took the world by storm with its luscious musical production, likable and funny characters, and subtle thematic undertones that complement Mothra and the national relations with the opposite countries. The story is straightforward in getting to the point and never drags, while the effects in regards to its big budget are marvels that stimulate our passion and appreciation for the craft. Mothra struck a chord with its female audience, promoting for the divine Kaiju's maternal care and grace, and her star power for the film would eventually cross her over with Godzilla forevermore becoming an important staple in the franchise due to their contrasting views with humanity. Mothra's debut film is proof that not all Kaiju need to end in tragedy. If any, Mothra 61 is the first of its kind that wants its audiences to be entertained and root for the Kaiju, influencing humans to do right as her example shows. And from there on, a star is set and Mothra's legacy will flourish, whether good or bad. good movie. Honestly, when nobody thinks too hard about the movie's strengths, it would still be a good movie anyway. And this has been Hinchusatsu. I'll see you next time for the next video. And... Now what? What can I review next, now that I got done with Mothra? I don't know. I'm just gonna have to think and find out. Something good for the brain. If, you know... if you're stupid.
Something funny going on.
Oh, bloody hell. And there was much rejoicing.
Thank you for watching this video. And if you're a person who loves Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and so forth, and anything else related to the Tokusatsu genre, and dinosaurs, please leave a positive comment below, and please support my channel by hitting the like, subscribe, and a notification bell to be, well, notified for new episodes coming your way. And follow me on Facebook too, as I share all of my content to you all. It would really mean a lot to me if my channel reaches new heights with your support. This has been Hinchusatsu. Take care, and see ya later.